Well, you met Secretary of State Mark Ritchie, and you met a representative here, Keith Ellison. I wonder if you'd like to meet our Senator, Al Franken. That might be all I need to say.
That'd be good. Thanks, Meg. Thank you all. Thank you for that kind welcome. You know, I have decided to change what I was going to talk about. Your church is so cool that I decided to talk about religion. And about God. And my views about God came from my dad. My dad died about 17 years ago, which brings me to a funny story. He had inhaled a pipe for about 50 years, and he got lung cancer. He died at 85. He had a great life. And my brother and I were both not living here in the Twin Cities at the time, so we both came home for about, and he was able to die at home, thanks to great hospice care. And about a week before he died, Rabbi Black from Temple Israel called the house. I answered the phone, and Rabbi Black said, I was wondering if I could come over and talk to your dad. And I thought about it, and I said, well, Dad knows he's dying. We know he's dying. He knows that we know he's dying. And we haven't talked about it. And I kind of feel like if you come over, he'd have to talk about dying, and I don't want to have to do it unless he brings it up himself, So the rabbi said, okay, fine. 2 days later, Rabbi calls again and says, can I come over and comfort your mother? And my mom was really a mess at this point, and I said, please, come on over, We could really use it. So the rabbi came over, and I can't remember. He sat with my brother and me and my mom, and I can't remember how long he was in the living room, or I can't remember a word he said, until he said, as long as I'm here, is it okay if I talk to your dad? And I immediately thought, aha, that's why he wanted to comfort my mom, so he could talk to my dad. And then I immediately felt guilty, and I was pretty much a mess myself. So I went down the hallway, and my dad at this point he was about 5 days from dying. He was about 78 pounds or something, very weak. I went in the room, I said, Dad, Rabbi Black is here, and he's wondering if he could talk to you. And my dad kind of summoned all his energy and said, well, I don't really know him, because this Rabbi Black was a young rabbi. But if he feels it'll do him some good, and I laughed so hard, and my dad smiled, because that was the best gift you could give someone in our family, was laughing at their joke. So I went down the hall, and I said to the living room and said, Rabbi Black, go ahead, and talked to my dad for about half an hour, and I didn't. Several years later, I was in Albuquerque doing my radio show. And Rabbi Black now has a congregation in Albuquerque, so I invited him to the show. And he was in the green room, and I said to him, I never asked you, what was the conversation with my dad like? What was that like? He said, well, your dad tried to make me feel as comfortable as possible. And that was my dad. My dad was born in 1908. He didn't graduate high school. His dad died when he was 16, so he went to work. And he was never very successful as a businessman at all, actually. But everyone loved him. Everyone loved my dad.